The IS-2 tank, which German tankers were afraid of and preferred not to meet with in battle. This is one of the most powerful World War II tanks. The IS-2 was so good that it not only successfully coped with the German Tigers and Panthers, but also stayed in the ranks of the Soviet and Russian armies for another half a century. In early 1943, the Germans massively launched the new Tiger heavy tank on the Eastern Front, and the leadership of the Soviet Union realized that they had serious problems. IS-1, an abbreviation on behalf of Joseph Stalin, was hastily developed and sent into battle in August 1943. Armed with an 85mm cannon, he could fight the Tiger at medium range. And yet it was seen as a temporary solution. It needed something more powerful. And such a tank was created. And yet it was seen as a temporary solution. It needed something more powerful. And such a tank was created. The most armored and deadly heavy tank of World War II. The IS-2 joined the ranks of the Red Army in the fall of 1943. Its 122mm cannon could turn the enemy into ashes at a distance of 1.5 to 2 kilometers. The Tiger armor was effectively pierced at a distance of 1 kilometer. The IS-2 was the only tank of the anti-Hitler coalition, capable of at least somehow resisting the fire of the German 88mm anti-aircraft guns, one of the best air defense systems and anti-tank weapons of the Second World War. Any other Soviet, British or American tank provided its crew with zero protection from these guns. IS-2 became a real headache for the Germans. To hit this powerful Soviet tank, the Tiger had to approach it at a distance of at least 800 meters, which significantly reduced his chances of winning. For this reason, the command of the Wehrmacht ordered its tank crews to avoid duels with IS-2. The tank of Joseph Stalin, which we encountered in 1944, was at least equal to the Tiger. It was much better in terms of form, like the T-34, wrote the German tank ace Otto Carius in his memoirs, Tigers in Mud. Joseph Stalin himself was very pleased with his own proprietary tank. After inspecting the IS-2, he reportedly said, "We will end the war with this tank." The IS-2 was designed not only as a Tiger hunter. In 1944, the Red Army left the vast plains of the Soviet Union and entered numerous fortified European cities, where its breakthrough tanks gave it the best result. IS-2, rapidly moving through narrow streets, breaking enemy fortifications, barricades and pillboxes on its way. Having reached the central square, Soviet assault groups of machine gunners, snipers and flamethrowers jumped from tanks and took up defensive positions. Thus, it was IS-2 that first opened fire on the Reichstag in Berlin. Before the war ended, a total of 3,395 IS-2 tanks were built. However, military service for these tanks did not end in 1945. Modernized, they remained in the ranks of the Soviet, and then Russian, army until 1995, and were also used by the armies of Czechoslovakia, Poland, China, Vietnam, and North Korea. Even in the early 2000s, these tanks could be considered as fixed firing points in the Cuban coastal defense.